Think about marketing funnels for a second.
Mm-hmm.
For so many people, you hear that phrase and immediately you think, like, complicated software, right? Endless flowcharts.
Yeah.
Maybe even a bit of dread.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like you need to be super technical.
Like you need a PhD just to set one up. There's such a huge focus on the tools today.
It's true. And that creates this idea that funnels are these, modern digital super complex things.
Exactly. And that's really what we want to get into today. Our mission really is to kind of strip away that tech-heavy layer.
Get past the buzzwords.
Yeah. And understand what building effective funnels is really about.
Yeah.
The strategy, the process, and importantly, how it can work for your business, your audience.
Welcome to your marketing department, where we share the best tips for marketing your small business. And the full link to this topic is down in the description. Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss our latest update.
What's really interesting when you look closely at sources like these is how often the core idea gets sort of lost.
How so?
Well, people rush to the technology, the software. But the real power, it isn't just in the tool. It's understanding the basic concept and, how it applies specifically to you.
Okay, so let's dive into these insights together. Let's see what nuggets we can pull out from these sources.
Sounds good. Well, one of the first things the material we looked at highlights is how we tend to think sales funnels are pretty new.
Right. Tied to the internet, landing page builders, that kind of thing.
Exactly. But the insight is sales funnels. They've been around way longer than any digital tools we use now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the article basically suggests if you've ever sold anything, you've probably had some kind of funnel, even if you didn't call it that.
That's a great point. You didn't need software to have a process, right, for how someone goes from just maybe hearing about you to actually becoming a customer.
Absolutely not. The sources even mention some traditional examples, simple systems that basically acted like funnels.
Like what?
It's like a tickler system, for systematically following up with prospects. This was way before computers were common.
Wow. Okay.
So the key takeaway right up front, it's pretty powerful, the real essence of a marketing funnel. It isn't about the technology.
It's about the process.
It's about process. It's this strategic journey you guide prospects on. The tech, that's just there to help you manage the strategy. It doesn't replace it.
Okay, so if the core idea is process, not tech, where do people get tripped up? What are the big misunderstandings about funnels now in the digital age? The material pointed out a couple, right?
Oh, yeah. A major one is just confusing the word funnel with automation software.
Because the tools are everywhere.
Exactly. They're marketed so heavily as building you a funnel that people start thinking they're the same thing. But, the software is just a tool.
Right.
The funnel itself is the systematic method. It's how you move a prospect from awareness to conversion.
It's like confusing the recipe with the oven. The oven helps, sure, but the recipe tells you what to make and how.
That's a perfect analogy, yeah. And another really common misconception, it's the idea that all funnels should look like that aggressive automated tripwire.
Yeah, I know that one. Offer something super cheap, get their email, and then immediately hit them with upsells, downsells, more expensive stuff.
Precisely. And the material is really clear on this. While that kind of funnel does work well,
for some people.
For some businesses, yeah, in some situations. Often, like low-priced digital products, maybe. But it is absolutely not the only way.
And not always the best way.
And crucially, not the best method for every single business model out there.
So who is that specific high-pressure model not a good fit for?
Well, it points specifically to businesses where building trust and building a relationship is really paramount.
Service businesses, maybe.
Service-based businesses, exactly. Yeah. Or those in more niche B2P business to professional industries where the stakes might be higher, the buying cycle is longer. Trying to force that kind of hard sell can just feel totally inappropriate. It can actually be really off-putting for those audiences where, trust has to come first.
Okay, so if that standard automated kind of transaction-focused funnel isn't the right fit, especially if you're service-based or B2P where relationships really matter, what's the alternative? What does the source suggest?
Right. And that's where the material brings in a really powerful insight. Just like no two businesses are exactly the same. The same goes for their ideal funnels. You need to find the type that works best for your specific model, your audience.
Makes sense.
And if that traditional automated push isn't right, the source suggests focusing on microconversions. That could be the solution.
Microconversions. Okay, sounds like small steps. What exactly is a microconversion here?
It's a small but important action a prospect takes along their journey.
From stranger to customer.
Exactly. From stranger to eventually becoming a customer. It's not the final sale, but it's those little progress points before that.
Like milestones along the way.
Precisely, milestones. And the concept then is a micro-conversion funnel. It's a strategic process built around guiding prospects through a series of these small incremental steps.
Okay.
Each little step, each micro-conversion is designed to deepen their engagement with you and gradually move them closer to whatever your ultimate goal is.
Whether that's a sale or a call or a sign-up.
Whatever success looks like for your business, yeah.
This really clicks with that idea of trust building you mentioned for like service business.
Oh, it's absolutely essential for them. The source really highlights this. It notes that pushing for the big sale too soon, that can easily turn potential clients away.
Yeah, I can see that.
Microconversions let you build that relationship step by step. You create value. You show your expertise at every stage.
Yeah.
Instead of just trying to rush them to the checkout.
Okay, this sounds much more aligned for certain businesses.
Yeah.
So how do you actually, build one? The source material lays out a process, right? Leading people through these smaller steps.
It does. And the first critical insight for building this is step 1, identifying initial entry points.
Okay, entry points.
Before you design any steps in the funnel, you have to understand all the ways someone could first interact with your business. Like, where do they first meet you?
So grab a pen and paper.
Yeah, or a doc, whatever works. And just map out every single way someone might first encounter you. These are the starting lines for all your potential funnels.
And it's not just online ads, I'm guessing?
Oh, far from it. The source gives a whole bunch of examples to get you thinking broadly. Organic search, sure, someone literally walking past your store.
Right, window display.
Seeing your display window, social media, getting a referral, meeting you at an event, listening to your podcast, or watching a video.
Okay, lots of possibility.
A direct website visit, paid online ads, yeah, but also paid local ads, like a billboard, or a yard sign, or seeing your name on, like, Little League jersey.
Okay,
Yeah.
Really broad.
The insight here is recognizing you probably have, like, 10 to 15 potential starting points, maybe more. And capturing all of them is key, just to see the full picture of how people find you.
That list could get pretty long. Do you try and build a funnel for every single one right away?
No, and that's the next critical insight. Step 2 is prioritizing your first interaction point.
Focus.
Exactly. While, eventually it makes sense to leverage all of them, the material really stresses picking just one strategically. Focus your initial efforts there. It just makes the whole process manageable.
Okay, how do you choose that one? Any criteria?
Where is your target audience most active? Which point is maybe easiest for you to capture interactions from right now?
What fits your resources?
What aligns best with your current resources, exactly? And maybe which offers the most direct path to actually delivering value to the prospect? But the key is focus. Pick one key interaction point for this first phase.
Got it. Pick your starting line. So what happens next? What are the steps after that specific point?
Okay, so that brings us to step 3. Mapping out potential microconversions.
The small steps again.
Yep. Once you've got your chosen entry point, now you need to list out the small actions a prospect might realistically take after that point as they move deeper into your world.
Okay.
The insight here is thinking about every tiny step they take toward engaging more deeply with your business.
So for that one entry point you picked, you write down every single likely action on the path to becoming a customer.
Exactly. You capture all those microconversions and, importantly, in order.
In order, okay.
And the source gives tons of great examples here, showing how broad this is. Online, it could be visiting a specific page, clicking read more on a blog post.
Exploring other pages.
Exploring multiple pages, yeah. Signing up for a newsletter, downloading a guide, watching a video, reading a case study.
Probably on social.
Following on social, sharing your content, filling out a contact form, attending a webinar, scheduling a consultation. Lots online.
And for a physical business?
Could be visiting the store, obviously. Picking up a brochure or flyer, asking a staff member a question, even just, responding when they say welcome.
Even that counts.
Signing up for a loyalty program, making a small initial purchase, trying a free sample, scanning an in-store QR code. The insight is these small actions are happening everywhere. You just need to identify them.
Oh.
And the source gives a great tip here. Start your ordered list with the microconversions prospects are already doing.
Well, that's smart. Build on existing behavior. Don't try to force something totally new right away.
Precisely. It makes the next step much easier, which is step 4, building your microconversion sequence.
Okay,
You
sequence.
take that ordered list you just made, the one based on what people are already doing,
Yeah.
and then you strategically weave in additional logical microconversions. You're creating a more deliberate sequence now, designed to guide them.
How do you make sure it feels like natural, that pushy or forced?
Good question. The source outlines a few principles for this. First, start small, just the entry point, plus the very next simple logical action.
Okay.
Second, sequence gelin. Gradually, each step should feel like a natural progression for the prospect, not a huge leap.
Right.
Third, consider user intent. What does the prospect actually want or need at this specific step in their journey? Align with that.
Makes sense.
And fourth, this is important, track the journey. You need to figure out where people might be dropping off. This could be through software online or even creative manual tracking in person. That data helps you refine the steps.
So you can improve it.
Exactly. The outcome, if you follow this, is a funnel that works with your audience's natural behavior. It builds trust, it feels smoother, and that leads to higher conversions because it doesn't feel like a hard sell.
Okay, this sounds like it needs ways to prompt people to take those small steps. It reminds me of lead magnets, but you said it's broader.
Yeah, that leads nicely into step 5, creating engagement triggers.
Triggers, okay.
This is a bit of a broader concept than just, say, a digital lead magnet. These are specific touch points or interactions you design to prompt a prospect to take that next small step forward.
Online or offline?
Both. And crucially, they don't necessarily need to capture contact info right away. It's about encouraging that next little bit of engagement.
Okay, so what are some examples of these triggers then?
Well, the source gives a great list, and you'll see overlap with microconversions. But here, they're framed as the prompt. So reading a blog post, the content itself is the trigger, maybe prompting them to click read more.
Oh, okay.
Downloading a resource, that's your classic lead magnet trigger. Watching a video or demo. Signing up for a newsletter or loyalty program.
Taking a quiz?
Taking a survey or quiz, yeah. Attending an event, redeeming a coupon. Asking a staff member for help, the availability of help is the trigger. Picking up a brochure, scanning a QR code. Even making a small initial purchase can be triggered by a special offer.
Gotcha. So the trigger is the spark.
Exactly. It's the deliberate spark.
Mm.
The insight is that these are designed to gently encourage engagement, build trust, build interest over time, and guide the prospect further along the path towards becoming, hopefully, a loyal customer.
Okay, so someone takes one of these trigger actions, they complete a microconversion. How do you make sure you capitalize on that? Don't lose the momentum, or maybe capture their info if it's appropriate.
Right, that's step 6, setting up the lead capture process. You need a system, a process in place to capture that forward movement, and where it makes sense, capture their contact information.
Okay.
And the source really emphasizes optimizing this for both online and in-person environments. You need to be ready wherever they interact.
How does that look practically? Online versus in-store?
Okay, so digitally, things like dedicated landing pages, single focus, clear offer, clear call to action, using email forms strategically, not just everywhere, but in the right places on your site. Keep them short, mobile friendly, and using clear, action-driven CTA buttons. Think, get your free guide or schedule your call focusing on the benefit for them.
And for brick and mortar?
It could be physical sign-up sheets or maybe tablets at events or in-store, ideally offering some small incentive. Using clear in-store CTA signage, maybe QR codes with time-sensitive offers.
QR codes seem useful here.
Definitely. QR codes linking physical displays to online offers or lead capture forms. And having a structured loyalty program enrollment process, maybe at checkout or while people are browsing.
It's lots of opportunities.
The insight is you need multiple opportunities to capture that interest, that forward motion, wherever your audience is. Each microconversion you identified earlier might be a potential point to place a trigger, and then a capture mechanism right after it. Every capture here moves them closer to being a qualified lead.
Okay, so you've guided them with small steps, used triggers, captured their interest or info. What's the final step in this whole microconversion funnel process?
Step 7 is absolutely crucial, nurturing the leads.
Right, follow-up.
Exactly. Once someone's shown interest, taken those steps, maybe given you their info. It's essential to keep building that relationship. You do that through ongoing, valuable communication, not just selling.
So what does good nurturing look like in this model? It's not just bombarding them with offers.
Definitely not. The source suggests things like email sequences, but designed to provide value, educate, engage, continue the conversation you started.
Okay.
Personalized content is key. Segmenting your audience based on maybe which micro-conversions they completed, tailoring the content to where they are in the journey.
Makes it more relevant.
Way more relevant. And timely follow-ups. These can be automated for certain actions, sure, but they should always feel polite, helpful, not pushy. The insight is that nurturing isn't just sending emails, it's actively continuing the trust building that the whole micro-conversion funnel started.
We started this whole conversation talking about how people just equate funnels with software. But we've just walked through this really strategic process that feels much more focused on understanding people, their journey, the human element.
Right.
So where does automation actually fit into this micro-conversion funnel approach? Does it have a place?
Does software still play a part? Absolutely it can. Automation can be a really powerful tool to support your microconversion funnel.
Support, not replace.
Exactly. That's the crucial distinction. Automation should never replace the personal touch or that underlying human-centric strategy we've been talking about.
So things like automated email sequences, reminders, maybe segmenting lists, those are the support team.
Precisely. Automated emails, follow-ups, reminders, they're helpful tools. They bring efficiency. But especially in those B2P relationships, human interaction is still incredibly important. You can't automate trust entirely. The goal is finding the right balance.
Automation and personalized engagement.
Exactly. Using automation to make things smoother, scalable, yes, but always ensuring there's personalized engagement to build that trust and foster the long-term relationships that are really the end goal here.
Wow. This deep dive has really shifted the perspective, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Away from just focusing on the tech stack and much more towards the actual human experience of that customer journey.
That really feels like the core insight the material from Unscrewed Marketing provides, yeah. Building an engaging marketing funnel. It isn't primarily about mastering the newest tool or copying some template.
It's about understanding people.
It's about deeply understanding your audience, identifying those micro-conversions that map out their natural journey with you, strategically guiding them through those steps, nurturing the relationships with, thoughtful communication. As the source puts it pretty clearly, funnels are about people, not just processes or technology.
And this whole approach, these insights, they come from Unscrewed Marketing, which is led by Vicky Wu. What does the material tell us about the expertise behind this? Where does this perspective come from?
Well, the source describes Vicky Wu as a really seasoned marketing expert. She's a fractional CMO and the CEO of Unscrewed Marketing.
Okay.
A key thing it highlights is her background, like 30 years of experience at the CMO and CEO level.
Wow, 30 years.
Yeah, including doing marketing for Fortune 500 companies, multi-million, even billion-dollar organizations, big players.
Right.
But and this seems significant, she also brings in strategies learned from helping nonprofits, places that had to be effective with little or no budget.
So big corporate and lean nonprofit experience.
Exactly. Her focus now is on making those high-level, proven strategies accessible to entrepreneurs, giving them effective, efficient, easy to implement, and affordable approaches, the kind of expertise usually reserved for big companies.
Bringing that big league strategy to small and medium businesses, essentially.
That's the idea. And Unscrewed Marketing is a full-service agency, really focused on helping entrepreneurs build that solid marketing foundation, maybe pivot away from past mistakes, and achieve real ROI by strategically increasing traffic, leads, and sales. Their whole approach, centered on this strategic process and micro-conversions, seems designed specifically for businesses that maybe can't or shouldn't rely on just brute force tactics or impersonal automation.
It fits perfectly with everything we've discussed about building trust through those small, incremental steps.
It really does. And for listeners who might be thinking, okay, how do I apply this to my business? The source article actually offers a specific next step.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it mentions scheduling a 360-degree marketing assessment or a free consultation directly with Unscrewed Marketing to explore building a customized micro-conversion strategy tailored just for them.
Okay, let's unpack this then. So what does all this really mean for you listening right now? I think it means your marketing funnel might be way less about the specific software you choose and much, much more about the careful human-centric steps you guide people through. It's really about building a relationship, isn't it? One small, valuable interaction at a time.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, maybe think about your own business for a second. This raises a really important question, I think. Thinking about all those potential entry points and all those tiny steps prospects take, What are the microconversions that are already happening in your business right now?
My book, Pivot to Success, Transforming Marketing Missteps into Milestones, reveals how every marketing challenge can be your next big win. It's the distilled wisdom from decades of my experience, all here for your entrepreneurial journey. You can find the book on my website, or you can go directly to Amazon and search for Pivot to Success, Transforming Marketing Missteps into Milestones. Grab your copy today because it's designed to help you recover from bad advice.